Well, here in the United States, the news is completely dominated, not by the better inflation numbers, which is what Joe Biden wants to talk about, or the jobs numbers, which is the heart of the Biden re-election campaign, but Donald Trump's trial in New York. And under any normal laws of politics that would have operated in your or my time, Ed, you would assume that having someone on trial for paying hush money to a porn star, and that porn star taking the witness stand, would totally destroy the credibility of that person, and there would be no chance that that person could ever be a candidate for anything, let alone president of the United States. And yet the trial is seeming to make it even more likely that Donald Trump is going to be the president, because it has generated enormous attention for him. It's made him look like the underdog and the outsider again, and unfairly kind of treated by the system. And you've had this extraordinary spectacle, I've been watching it on the television here, of every single day at the trial in the courthouse, a string of senior Republicans, including the Speaker of the House of Representatives, various governors from American states, senators, turn up and sit in the kind of public gallery in support of Donald Trump, wearing red ties to show that they are supporting Donald, who always wears a red tie. It's absolutely staggering.
But that is not the only surprising spectacle. We've also seen, and Tim Shipman captured this really well at the weekend in the Sunday Times, both the Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, and the Shadow Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, both trying to persuade us all that they are the person with the contact book and the reach and the leverage to influence potentially the Trump presidency. David Cameron saying that he could persuade Trump how he could turn the Ukraine issue to his advantage. David Lammy's meeting a series of senior Trump supporters, including J.D. Vance and Lindsey Graham, to say, I can work with Donald Trump. And that's also been surprising to watch.
Yes, I mean, David told me some of what happened at the Trump dinner. He says basically Trump has a speakerphone like on the table, and just throughout dinner, people are calling senators, congressmen, various journalists, whatever. And he just throughout dinner, he just puts them on speakerphone and says, "Hi, I got Cameron here." And that's the way the dinner proceeds. But I think to be fair to David and the efforts of lots of people, including key figures in the Labour Party, the West did succeed. The Europeans, Brits, everyone did succeed in getting the Republicans to commit to an aid package for Ukraine. So I would say that's sort of mission accomplished. And as for David Lammy, I think he's doing exactly what a shadow foreign secretary, who might well be the foreign secretary, needs to do, which is, kind of shift out of being a kind of oppositionist politician, or in his case, also a kind of anti-Trump politician. Meanwhile, David Lammy, by traveling to Washington and getting closer to the Republican Party, is doing exactly what anyone who's shadow foreign secretary but expects to be in the Foreign Office later this year should be doing. And he's been meeting the right people, but he hasn't met Trump. And I've said it's all quite a change from when he said this.
A president who's said awful things during London's lowest moments of terrorism, who has attacked our democratically elected Mayor Sadiq Khan, a president who has retweeted far-right hatred of Britain First, the hatred that saw the death of Joe Cox. For all of those reasons and so much more, people are coming out in droves today to make it absolutely clear that Donald Trump is not welcome in our country.
But David Lammy wants to be welcome at Mar-a-Lago, it seems now, doesn't it?
So I don't know whether your speculation over the last month or so, about whether David Cameron might stay on and be the Foreign Secretary in the Keir Starmer government has been in any way galvanising. I think probably not, because I don't think Keir Starmer is going to do that. But David Lammy has had, quite a media blitz over the last couple of weeks, as you've said. Not just those meetings, but also big interview in the Times last Saturday. I think he's been doing really well, setting the agenda. His speech, his article in Foreign Affairs about his approach to foreign policy. He's calling it progressive realism. He's out there saying, you know, I can meet the Trump guys. I've got the contact books. You know, I'm not going to be pushed aside by David Cameron. So, although I'm not sure that's what's going on, if it is what's going on, he's been doing it quite successfully.
You know, David Lammy is trying to sort of stake out a kind of guide to how he will handle things. But the realities when you're in office are quite different. I think he gets credit, doesn't he, for doing the most you can do with the shadow foreign secretary job, getting out there, preparing the ground for a potential Trump presidency so it doesn't blindside Labour. But the collision between Keir Starmer, the human rights lawyer, and David Lammy, you know, sucking up to the Trumpists is going to be quite an interesting dynamic in a Labour cabinet.
I think that's right. And if I was Keir Starmer and David Lammy, I would be worrying about this now. I would look at the way in which they got into the wrong position on Gaza back in October, and I would worry about what I might be storing up in the way in which they're going about the Trump relationship. And that's not to say that David Lammy's doing the wrong thing. Of course, he's got to build relations. I think they're leaving themselves quite exposed that if Trump, if he wins and he does things domestically or internationally, which are clearly on the non-progressive side of progressive realism, either at that point you suddenly have to kind of call it out, which looks like a contradiction from the whole approach you've taken for the previous 2 years, or you have to suck it up.